Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Intuitive Surgical
Okay,
and figuring out if this is something that might be a good fit for your portfolio.
sounds good.
We're going to be using a bunch of different sources, so we'll be looking at company information and what they say about themselves.
Right?
We've also got financial data, and we'll look at analyst predictions as well to get the full picture, all right?
Looking forward to it.
So to really understand where Intuitive Surgical is today and where it's going, we need to know where they came from.
That's right. I think their history is really fascinating. It all started with research at SRI International.
Hmm.
And this was actually funded in part by the National Institutes of Health and DARPA. And their initial goal was actually pretty wild. They were aiming to develop remote surgery for soldiers.
Wow. So from battlefield surgery to operating rooms all across the globe, that's quite a journey.
Yeah, it really is.
So tell me more about their flagship product, this Da Vinci surgical system.
Yeah. The system itself is named after, well, a series of prototypes that were inspired by Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
The company was first marketed in Europe in 1999. And just a year later, they went public.
Interesting. So they weren't the only ones in this emerging field.
Not at all. They had a major competitor, Computer Motion. Actually, it led to some legal battles over patents.
Oh, wow.
But the interesting thing is, Intuitive Surgical ended up merging with Computer Motion in 2003,
Oh, wow.
really solidifying their position in the market.
Yeah, and it seems like a really smart move considering they became a Fortune 500 company this year. But what about their financial performance? Do the numbers really support this kind of market position?
Their financials are, well, they're undeniably strong. In 2023, their annual revenue reached $7.12 billion.
Wow.
And that's a huge jump from $227 million back in 2005.
Wow. So what about net income?
So for 2023, their net income was $1.82 billion. And most analysts are forecasting continued growth, so it seems like they're on a really good trajectory.
That sounds really promising.
Wow.
But I know that some analysts, like the folks over at Zacks, suggest that ISRG might be overvalued.
Yeah.
So despite this impressive growth, why do they hold this view?
Well, Zacks bases their assessment on a number of valuation metrics, like, for instance, the EV to EBITDA ratio,
Okay.
which compares the company's value to its earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And for Intuitive Surgical, that stands at 77.99.
Okay.
So in addition to that, they also point to things like high price to cash flow and price to sales ratios, which basically indicate that the stock price might be inflated compared to the company's fundamental performance.
So it sounds like we have a strong track record, but maybe trading at a bit of a premium. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about their market share. Just how dominant are they in the robotic surgery space?
They are the dominant player, without a doubt. As of 2021, they had over 6,700 Da Vinci systems installed globally.
Wow, that's a lot.
It really is, and this near monopoly position has actually attracted some criticism.
Oh.
And even lawsuits alleging monopolistic practices, something potential investors should definitely be aware of.
Absolutely. It's interesting how such a powerful position in the market can also become a point of contention.
Yeah.
So let's shift our focus to the future a little bit. What does Intuitive Surgical's innovation pipeline look like? What are they working on?
So while the Da Vinci system is still their core product, Intuitive Surgical is investing, heavily in research and development.
Okay.
In 2020 alone, they spent over $595 million. And get this, they hold over 6,300 patents,
Wow.
which demonstrates a very strong commitment to innovation.
Yeah, their dedication to the future of robotic surgery it's pretty evident,
Yeah.
especially through their internal funding initiative, Intuitive Ventures. Can you tell me more about what they're doing with that?
Sure. So Intuitive Ventures is really focused on pushing the boundaries of surgical technology.
Okay.
They're supporting the development of some really cutting-edge technologies, like using AI to predict surgical complications.
Wow.
And platforms to manage, the massive amounts of surgical data that's being generated these days.
It seems like they're building an entire ecosystem around robotic surgery, not just supplying the hardware.
Exactly.
Which leads us to valuation, right?
Yeah.
The Da Vinci system comes with a hefty price tag, something like $1.5 million.
Right.
And that doesn't even include the ongoing maintenance or the specialized instruments that you need.
Right. And while demand remains strong, those high valuation metrics that we discussed before, like a price to cash flow ratio of 99.94 and a price to sales ratio of 24.54, it does raise some concerns about a possible overvaluation.
For sure.
So it really begs the question, is the price justified by the potential for future growth?
It's a really crucial question for anyone considering investing in ISRG. So let's talk about their acquisition strategy. Have they made any other significant purchases besides that merger with Computer Motion back in the day?
Well, that 2003 merger with Computer Motion, that was really a defining moment for Intuitive Surgical. It really solidified their dominance and took out a key competitor.
Right.
There haven't been any acquisitions of that scale since then.
So, yeah, that merger really stands out as a pivotal moment in their history. Let's move on to their services business, because it seems like they offer more than just the Da Vinci system itself.
That's right. They've taken a really holistic approach, offering these comprehensive support services
Okay.
that includes training programs for surgeons and operating room staff,
Hmm.
and also ongoing maintenance.
So they're not just selling a product, they're selling a complete surgical workflow solution.
Exactly.
What kind of impact is this kind of approach having on the healthcare landscape as a whole?
Well, the increasing adoption of robotic surgery and intuitive surgical is a big part of that. It's transforming healthcare. It's
Mm-hmm.
driving job creation in the med tech sector. It's
Yeah.
leading to advancements in surgical techniques and potentially lowering costs in the long run as efficiency improves.
So they're playing a very central role in this big technological shift.
Mhm.
So for all of our potential investors out there listening, let's break down the pros and cons of owning ISRG stock.
Okay, well, on the positive side, you've got a dominant market position, strong financial performance,
Yeah.
a robust innovation pipeline, and the just huge potential for growth as robotic surgery becomes more and more common.
Right.
But of course, investors need to consider the high valuation, the potential overvaluation concerns,
Hmm.
the legal challenges that are stemming from their market dominance, and the reliance on the Da Vinci system as their primary product.
That's a really good point. It's a real mix of attractive prospects and potential risks. So let's talk about dividends for our income-focused investors out there.
Okay.
What's Intuitive Surgical's dividend policy?
They actually have never paid dividends.
Really?
Yeah. They've consistently chosen to reinvest those profits back into the company to fuel that future growth.
And what about share buybacks? Are they returning value to shareholders that way?
Right now, they have a negative buyback yield, which suggests that expansion, not buybacks, is their priority.
Okay, so that's really important information for investors who are looking for more immediate returns.
Definitely.
So finally, let's touch on ESG factors. How does Intuitive Surgical measure up in terms of those environmental, social, and governance considerations?
Well, their commitment to minimally invasive care, that aligns with really positive social impact goals, potentially leading to faster patient recovery, better outcomes.
Sure.
However, the lawsuits alleging monopolistic practices, those raise concerns about responsible business conduct.
So there are both positive and potentially concerning aspects to think about when we're evaluating their ESG profile.
Exactly. Intuitive Surgical presents a complex picture for investors.
Yeah, it really is this kind of complexity that makes them such an interesting case study. They have this compelling vision for the future of surgery, a really remarkable track record of success. Yeah.
But at the same time, there are valid concerns about valuation and potential risks related to their market dominance.
So is Intuitive Surgical a good fit for your portfolio? That answer, as always, depends on your individual investment strategy, risk tolerance, and your belief in the long-term potential of robotic surgery, right?
Right. And, one thing we haven't really talked about yet is the potential impact of this rapidly advancing technology on the healthcare workforce.
Mm.
Like, how will the increasing adoption of robotic surgery systems, like the Da Vinci, how will that affect things like job creation and the roles of surgeons and other healthcare professionals?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not just about the technology itself, but the ripple effects on the broader healthcare landscape.
Exactly.
As robotic surgery becomes more common, it's going to lead to new specialized roles.
Yeah.
And potentially change the nature of existing jobs.
Precisely. We might see an increased demand for technicians who are skilled in maintaining and operating these, sophisticated systems. as well as, for training specialists to help surgeons adapt to this new way of doing things.
And it's not just about technical skills, right? It also raises questions about the training and the education of future surgeons.
Hmm.
Will traditional surgical skills become less important as robotic surgery kind of takes center stage?
That's a really interesting question. While robotic surgery definitely offers tons of advantages,
Mm.
it's unlikely to completely replace, traditional surgical techniques.
Right.
There will always be situations where a surgeon's hands-on expertise and their ability to adapt to unforeseen circumstances are going to be absolutely crucial.
So we might actually see a shift in the balance of skills
Yeah,
with more emphasis on proficiency in both traditional and robotic surgery techniques.
exactly.
So that could lead to a more specialized and highly skilled surgical workforce.
Definitely a possibility to think about. And this brings us back to that central question. Is Intuitive Surgical a wise investment? To answer that, we need to dig a little deeper into the factors that might affect their long-term growth and profitability.
Yeah, and one crucial factor that we've talked about is the company's commitment to building an entire ecosystem around robotic surgery, right?
Yeah.
And this goes way beyond just selling the Da Vinci system. It includes things like comprehensive training programs, maintenance services,
You're right.
and even the development of new technologies through Intuitive Ventures.
Yeah, their approach really seems to be focused on creating this seamless and integrated experience for hospitals and healthcare providers. And that could give them a real advantage in the market because they're not just providing a product, but a complete solution.
But as you mentioned earlier, their reliance on the Da Vinci system as their primary product also presents potential risk, right?
Yep.
What if a competitor emerges with a more advanced or a more cost-effective robotic surgery system?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Intuitive Surgical's dominance hinges on their ability to maintain their technological edge and adapt to evolving market demands.
Right. And that's why their investments in research and development, as well as, their exploration of new technologies through Intuitive Ventures, are so important.
Yeah,
They have to stay ahead of the curve to maintain their leadership position.
absolutely. And they have shown a willingness to invest in innovation,
Mm.
but only time will tell if they can successfully navigate the ever-changing landscape of surgical technology.
Another factor to consider is the regulatory environment around medical devices. Changes in regulations or reimbursement policies could significantly impact Intuitive Surgical's business.
Yeah, that's an important point that I think is often overlooked by investors. The healthcare industry is very heavily regulated,
Mm.
and any shifts in the regulatory landscape could create both opportunities and challenges for companies like Intuitive Surgical.
Right. So, for example, if regulators become more stringent in approving new robotic surgery systems,
Right.
or if reimbursement rates for robotic-assisted procedures decline, it could really negatively impact Intuitive Surgical's um, growth prospects.
Yeah, absolutely. On the other hand, favorable regulatory changes or increasing acceptance of robotic surgery by insurance providers, that could further accelerate their growth.
Right. So it's a delicate balance, and investors really need to be aware of the potential impact of regulatory changes on the company's future.
Definitely.
And this highlights how important it is to do your due diligence before making any investment decisions. You really can't rely solely on financial metrics or past performance.
Yeah.
You need to understand the company's business model, the competitive landscape, the regulatory environment they operate in, and the potential risks and opportunities they face.
Yeah, it's about looking beyond just the numbers and developing a real comprehensive understanding of the company's position within the broader industry and its ability to adapt to future changes.
Speaking of the bigger picture, let's circle back to the potential impact of robotic surgery on healthcare costs.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting. While robotic surgery systems like the Da Vinci come with a big upfront investment, there's growing evidence that suggests that they can lead to cost savings in the long run.
So how so?
Well, minimally invasive procedures usually result in shorter hospital stays, reduced blood loss, fewer complications, and faster recovery times.
Right.
And all of those factors can translate into, substantial cost savings for the healthcare system.
Exactly. And as the technology keeps advancing
Right.
and becomes more widely adopted, these cost savings could become even more significant.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, there are also costs associated with training, surgeons and staff to use these systems, as well as the ongoing maintenance expenses.
Right. Yes, of course. But those costs need to be weighed against the potential long-term benefits.
Right.
And many experts believe that robotic surgery has the potential to significantly reduce healthcare expenditures in the coming years.
Yeah, this makes Intuitive Surgical not just a technology company, but potentially a key player in addressing the rising costs of healthcare.
It really is a perspective worth considering, especially for investors who are looking for companies that are not only financially sound, but also contributing to a positive societal impact.
So it seems like Intuitive Surgical presents a really multifaceted investment opportunities.
Yeah, they definitely do.
You know, they've got a strong track record of financial performance, a dominant market position,
Right.
and a compelling vision for the future of surgery.
Exactly.
But they also face, challenges related to valuation, competition, regulatory changes, and those ethical considerations surrounding their market dominance.
Right. Those are all valid concerns.
So ultimately, the decision of whether or not to invest in ISRG is a personal one. It's a decision that should be based on a careful consideration of your individual investment goals, your risk tolerance, and your belief in the company's ability to navigate the complex and evolving landscape of healthcare technology.
Yeah.
It's really clear that Intuitive Surgical is, really pushing the boundaries in healthcare technology.
Yeah, they are.
But as we've discussed, thoroughly evaluating their position is key for any potential investor.
Yeah, and that's why we do these deep dives.
Right.
To give you the information you need to make those informed decisions.
Exactly. We've looked at their past, their financials, their market dominance, those potential risks and rewards, and the broader impact that they're having on healthcare.
But before we wrap up, I think it's important to bring this back to you, the listener.
What do you mean?
Well, we can talk all day about technology and market trends and investment strategies. But at the end of the day, Intuitive Surgical's success and the impact of robotic surgery as a whole, it really comes down to the people involved.
The surgeons using these systems.
Yeah.
The patients benefiting from them.
Right.
The healthcare professionals adapting to this new landscape.
Precisely. So as you consider the information we've discussed today, think about that human element. Like imagine yourself as a surgeon facing the decision of whether to adopt robotic surgery or stick with traditional techniques.
Or as a patient needing surgery and weighing the potential benefits and risks of a robotic-assisted procedure.
Yeah.
These are the real-world implications of the technologies and trends we've been talking about.
And they highlight how important it is to look beyond just the numbers.
Yeah.
And consider that broader impact of these advancements on individuals and society as a whole.
It's about understanding that investing isn't just about, financial returns. It's also about supporting companies and technologies that align with your values and your vision for the future.
Exactly.
So as you ponder the potential of Intuitive Surgical and the future of robotic surgery, we really encourage you to keep those human perspectives in mind.
Yeah. And as always, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Head over to our YouTube channel and let us know what you think about Intuitive Surgical. Is it a company you would consider investing in?
Yeah, and while you're there, tell us what other companies or industries you'd like us to deep dive into.
We're always looking for new topics to explore and new insights to uncover.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.